सर आप अनुपमा के साथ ऐसा क्यों करते हो, नहीं करो ना, उसे मत परेशान करो ना, ऐसा ऐसा करके मुझे बोलते थे. The girls were actually going completely wild, and one of the members of the band was pulled down by girls.
Oh my God.
And he was mauled. There were a lot of challenges because obviously the film industry was such that they were very set heroes and set everything. There were only those few people who were making films and giving work and all of that. So 17 months before we were launched, 17 months we were only practicing, rehearsing every single day. India mein, because the bands, financially, you could not go beyond a certain point. Okay. And I did work with Mahesh Bhatt also. I did work with Imtiaz Ali also. I worked in television at a time when we used to shoot like film. I used to wonder always कि यार वनराज को मैंने इतना खतरनाक बना दिया है कि लोग नफरत करते हैं मुझसे. Even though there are so many stories going around.
This is Nawaz Kochra joining you on Indian Express, and I welcome you to an all-new episode of Dear Me. The guest who joins us today is a heartthrob from the 90s who literally has won a lot of hearts. He has played an iconic character on Indian television, and recently when he announced his departure from the show, the internet was under shock. A lot of fans were heartbroken, but then, well, he had his reasons. And while we dive into all of that, I welcome amongst us Sudhanshu Pandey.
Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, and thank you for such a lovely introduction.
Absolutely. You know, when I say that you were this heartthrob from the 90s, I remember a band of boys, ka wo rage.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, the craze you all had, whether it was Meri Neend Ud Gayi Hai or Gori for that matter, it was just so amazing. You know, I want to begin asking you that what is the best memory you have of a band of boys?
I think it was, there are too many actually, it's very difficult to identify one out of it. But one with memory which we very often talk about was performing in front of an audience of about 15-20,000 in a stadium.
Okay.
Which was somewhere in Gujarat. And that was the craziest performance because I think we must have performed for about 3.5 hours. And the audience, they were going mad in a way that we were actually, we got worried after a certain point because the girls were actually going completely wild, and one of the members of the band was pulled down by girls.
Oh my God.
And he was mauled and the clothes were torn off, and we really needed to be secured from them because there was so much of love and that frenzy of seeing your favorite band and people start crying and all that stuff. So I think it was one of the craziest experiences. We had many crazy experiences, but that was one of the craziest experiences we had.
I can imagine. But if I'm not wrong, this is 28 years for you as an actor also. 1995 it all began?
No. So 94, I was still a teenager that time. I started as a model.
Yes.
And this was in Delhi. So I started as a model with a suitings campaign. I'm talking about 94. So it's,
30 years.
30 years. And I was still a teenager at that time. So the shot to fame for me was straight into the skies, because from nowhere, from a middle class family, small town, Nainital, I was, I sat on a rocket and I was sent straight into space, for me at that time. And I remember the first 3 years of my life were complete roller coaster because I was shooting left, right, and center for all the top designers like Rohit Bal and J.J. Valaya and Ashish Soni, and I shot for Gabbana. I did some international shows. And it was a crazy ride. And I did all the biggest brands in those first couple of years. biggest brands in the country, whether it is Ray-Ban or a suiting scamp or Bhilwara suitings, or it was Nivea cream, or it was
Right.
Monte Carlo. You name the brand, I was a face of that.
And if I'm not wrong, that was also the era of supermodels.
It was the era of supermodels. So, in '95, I got the best male model in the country award by
Right.
the then Minister Salman Khurshid. I didn't know what was hitting me that time. I was just going with the flow. I was enjoying the life, and because we were so young, and so the first 3 years, that's how it was, and then slowly after that, then the reality, sort of dawned upon me, and then a little bit of struggle, a little bit of, you know, uh, tougher times started, and because then you start to crave for more.
Yes.
You want to do better, you want to become bigger, and then when you start to crave for more, the challenges also start to pour in for you. So no complaints. It was
What
beautiful.
was that struggle like?
No, struggle was in terms of see, because I came from nowhere, from a very small town, like I said, from a very secured middle class family, people of four, parents and one brother, my older brother, close knit family, so for somebody like that to have come into a completely different world altogether, and then trying to do everything on your own, because there was no guidance, there was no godfather, there was nothing, there was nobody like there ki chal, you
Hanji.
take this step now, you take this step now you have to do this. So everything I did in my life was completely guided by life itself.
Okay.
you know as and when things happened in my life, I kept learning from them, and I kept progressing ahead. Slow, steady, fast, sometimes falling down, again getting up, again falling down, again getting up, various things. And believe me, like you said, 30 years of my life. Uh, I started my career when kids are still, studying and looking for, think or having a good time just generally
Right.
in life, as a teenager, and still looking at things very lightly and all of that. I um I landed straight in the middle of the sea,
Yeah, I
trying to
can
learn to
imagine.
swim, And then I think all those beautiful experiences, beautiful falls, every time I fell down, I think all those experiences were extraordinary, because unless you fall down, you don't know what it is to get up,
True.
and
Right.
what you feel when you get up. It's like a victory every time you fall down, and when you get up completely on your own with your own efforts. Uh, it's the most incredible experience, I would say.
But was the industry also quite rigid that time, in terms of acceptance? Like somebody who does not come from a very filmy backing or a filmy background is trying to make a mark walking through those gates. Somebody who's young, firstly, though, how did you navigate at such a young age? How did you navigate life at that moment? And was there an acceptance from the industry, or was there a certain rigidity also that you
Honestly, I
faced?
didn't navigate. I mean, I didn't even have the mind to navigate,
Okay.
or a, a, a plan in place. I think the first few years I just went with the flow,
Hmm.
and whatever happened, I just took it, in my stride. And obviously, because I had become one of the top names in the country, so it wasn't very difficult for me to get or to go anywhere or to meet anywhere. Everybody knew me, right? Everyone knew me, from
Hmm.
the topmost people in the industry down to everyone, because I was a very, very, very known, well-known model,
Right.
or the so-called supermodel category that time. And um, so it wasn't difficult. But then 3 years later, when I shifted to Bombay,
Ah.
I had to start everything again, because then I had to uh, continue modeling for a while, and then start to explore, the acting side of it, because it's a natural progression. Once you're in the field,
Hmm.
you know that this is meant for you. You're meant to be here, and there is nothing else you can do, right?
Right.
You're probably good for nothing, And incidentally, I was studying in a Fauji school. I was
Oh,
in army school. I wanted to get into the army, and most of my classmates got into the army. They are senior officers now, still serving the nation. Some of them. So from there to coming here, I realized कि बॉस यही काम है. अब अब यही काम है जो मुझे करना है और यही काम मैं कर सकता हूँ. मुझे लगता नहीं कि और मुझे कोई काम आता है. So then you continue, and then you try to figure out things, within your capacity, within your, uh, you know, uh, you know, the ability to think or process something, because at such a young age,
right.
lack of experiences, your mind is not that evolved, right?
True.
So within that space, whatever I could do, I kept taking a step ahead. And obviously, I got married early. When I was 22, I got married.
Hmm.
So I had two mouths to feed when I came to Bombay. So I had to, basically pick up work. One, obviously, for the quality of the work or whatever I'm doing.
Right.
Second, to survive also, because in a city like Bombay, uh, the most difficult thing is to be able to earn your money and survive,
Absolutely.
and stay relevant. So it's a very difficult thing. It's a very tough competition. That time it wasn't so tough. Today it has become
Tougher.
unreal, but still I would say that time there were a lot of challenges, because obviously the film industry was such that they were very set heroes and set everything. There were only those few people who were making films and giving work and all of that. So you had to get in touch. And there were certain managers, वो managers का ज़माना था,
हाँ.
जब सिर्फ managers होते थे, secretaries होते थे, उनको secretaries
हाँ
बोला
जी.
जाता था. So, then trying to look for a good secretary, I kept a few. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't work. But all of that, continued for a very long time. And I think with every film that I did, with every good, bad, ugly film that I did, I learned something. And today, when I look back at my journey, I feel that whatever happened with me was a blessing. Because whatever I've become today, or whatever I am today, or however evolved I may consider myself, I am a human being, but I consider myself evolved thanks to all the experiences, uh, the disasters in my life that taught me so much. Because
Right.
if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be so evolved, or I wouldn't be so, maybe, if I can call myself wise, I take that liberty of calling myself wise. So I think all that wisdom comes from all the tough times, the bad times, the difficulties, the falls. Those are the most important aspects of your life.
Very true. But this boy studying in an army school,
Hmm.
he goes home one day and says that I want to become a model or I
Mhm.
want to get into acting. What was the reaction?
I think my parents were very supportive.
Okay.
They didn't even blink an eye. They said, "Okay." And this guy who I got in touch with had called me to Delhi. He said, "I would like to see you.
Hmm.
Whether you're worth, uh,
Ah.
you know, modeling or not." So when I went there, my father came with me, and he said, "Ki fantastic, let's shoot some pictures." And I was like this 19-year-old curly-haired fellow, fair, Nainital ka, radiant skin, all that. So जो पहाड़ में गाल लाल हो जाते हैं, that kind of I was that kind of a boy. So when I went there, he said, "Fantastic, let's shoot some." We shot some photographs. I gave it to Lintas. Within a few days, I got a call for that, the first campaign that I told you
Wow.
about. And the next I knew was that I got a release in Time magazine, and rest
And
is
then
history.
life changed
Life changed
for
after
the
that.
good. But with these good looks, also did ever this challenge of facing casting couch come about?
Of course I did. Of course I did. I think that is, this question is something that is. I mean, obviously, it's very natural coming from your side, because it's a it is very prevalent.
Yeah, so I don't know about today, but at that time I think so it
no, it has
was.
always been prevalent, and it's not
Okay.
just this industry. And I
Hmm.
hate it when somebody says कि यार film industry ऐसी है. Film industry is beautiful, you know.
Right.
It gives so much. It has so much to give and offer. But all sorts of people are there, and obviously there will be people who will try to barter things with you.
Okay.
But it is up to you whether you want to go that way or not. And whoever makes a choice of going that way is again their choice. There is nothing. I wouldn't say there is anything wrong in it, as long as people are not uh, compelling somebody.
Okay.
As long as people are not using their power to compel somebody to commit something like that, I think it is okay for one to make their own choices, which
Right.
way they want to go. And I don't look down upon anybody
Hmm.
who makes a choice, because you don't know anybody's life. They know their lives the best. They know
Absolutely.
why they would make a choice, and they would know why they would not make a choice like that. So I think it's absolutely okay to leave everybody to their choices,
True. Very
right?
true.
And if you have made a wrong choice, sooner or later you will come to know, and you will realize that the choice was wrong, and then you may regret it, you may learn from it, and then you become wiser, so you won't repeat something like that. So it's as simple as that.
How was the Band of Boys born?
Band of Boys was, I was. This was, I think, immediately after my first film, Khiladi 420.
Yes.
Uh, this friend of mine, Karan Oberoi,
Ah.
and we were neighbors also. So Karan one day tells me कि भाई मैं ना जिस आदमी के साथ वो एल्बम बनाने की, the guy who was planning to produce my album, we were discussing the other day, and suddenly we chanced upon this idea कि यार हमने ना एक बॉय बैंड बनाते हैं हम लोग, और हमारी कंट्री में कभी बॉय बैंड बना ही नहीं है. तो there is no boy band. We can, how about creating India's first ever boy band, तो उसने बोला कि यार फैंटास्टिक आइडिया, तू ढूंढ ले 5 लड़कों को जो अच्छे लगते हो और अच्छा गाते हो. तो बोला कि तुझे करना चाहिए. मैंने कहा तू पागल हो गया, मैं गाना वाना, मैंने कहा गाना कहाँ गाता हूँ मैं जो तू मेरे को बोल रहा है. बोला पांडे ट्रस्ट मी, तू अच्छा गाता है, तू मेरे ऊपर विश्वास रख, तू चल मेरे साथ. I said okay fine. I'm not a trained singer. I never sang.
Right.
Forget professionally. बाथरूम में भी जब गाते थे तो मम्मी डांटती थी, So that's the kind of singing I'd done. So we were put together, and we were taken to that gentleman's office, and they booked a place for a sort of an audition, where
Okay.
Leslie Lewis and Hari Haran were there, and they made us sing, and they asked me to sing something, and I sang one of the alaps of Sukhvinder Singh from Chaiya Chaiya. तो मैंने जैसे ही गाया, हरी भाई बोले आजा आजा तू आजा. So that is the first time I felt कि अच्छा हो सकता है मैं अच्छा गाता हूँ यार. That means I sing well. So from there the journey started, and then this gentleman who put us together, Vinod Nair, he he was very passionate about it. So he put us together for 17 months before we were launched. 17 months we were only practicing, rehearsing every single day.
Wow.
All the dancing, the choreography, the songs, everything we just, and 17 months later is when we launched the album.
And that was an era of pop music. Like I remember TV पर एक channel आता था जिस पर you could call and select the song, and every now and then मेरी नींद उड़ गई है would get played.
हाँ, I know. मेरी नींद उड़ गई है ने कईयों की नींद उड़ा दी थी यार. बहुत ज़्यादा पूरा
But
nation.
had y'all, when y'all started, did y'all, or when y'all shot for Meri Neend, did y'all ever anticipate that it would blow out to this extent?
No, we did not, because obviously those times were different, and we made an album which was very different, which was not a regular run of the mill, like how rock bands make,
Right.
or any other bands made that time. This was a pure boy band, 5 boys who could sing and dance, and decent looking. So when we came out, and the song came out, Meri Neend Ud Gayi, the video came out, we didn't know what hit us, because it became a rage across the globe. It was crazy, and the amount of traveling and shows we started doing post that, it was unbelievable, you know. So it was a blessing. I think it just I think the songs did the magic. The music was great. Leslie Lewis created some great compositions, and the sound he produced was way ahead of its times. And I think the beauty of our songs was the quality was same as how, you know, today also we go back to songs of Rafi Sahab,
Hmm.
R.D. Burman, Kishore Da, Asha Bhosle. उन्हीं songs के reprise आज भी हो रहे हैं. You know,
Absolutely right.
it is because the kind of melodies they created, the kind of lyrics they used were so beautiful and so simple and so strong as a melody that there is nothing that can surpass that. And simplicity is beautiful always, you know. And our songs had very strong melodies, like Gori, the first Gori, you know.
Yes.
The melody is so strong, the words are so simple yet beautiful, you know. तो वो एक ज़माना था, और वो ज़माना हमने शायद हमारे गानों से रिक्रिएट किया, क्योंकि वो तभी, today 22 years later, the songs are still equally popular. The songs are still being made as reels and sent to us by youngsters, you know. 20-22 साल के बच्चे आज भी वो उस पे dances बना के भेजते हैं, you know, reels बना के भेजते हैं. So that is something, I would say it's a blessing, yeah. It's a complete blessing.
But 2006 तक the Band of Boys was
Relevant.
relevant.
Yeah.
उसके बाद what happened? Like what?
See, I opted out of the band.
Okay.
I think around 2005 or 6 only. I think I had opted out because, unfortunately, however big you become, but India may, because the bands, you know, financially, you could not go beyond a certain point.
Okay.
You know, had this the stature we got as a band in the West, I think we would be roaming around in a private plane,
Absolutely.
you know, because we were so big, but it never translated, you know, into the kind of monies that we could have made, you know.
Okay.
Plus, like I said earlier, you know, I had a family to feed, and I was already working before that. And having given 3 years only to the band and not working on, not acting and not doing anything of that sort, came down a little heavy. And then I said, okay, I think it's time for me to get back to my work so I can make some money and, you know, sustain myself. And that is the reason why I opted out of the band. And I think then it faded out a little for a while, but they
Right.
still were together. They kept performing here and there, and they have hung around, which is why we have had a comeback now.
Yes.
Since I've gone back, we've decided to, you know, reunite and give a comeback of equal potential as we did when we came.
Absolutely. And you know, simultaneously, you know, while the Band of Boys was happening, it was flourishing, the acting career was going on.
Hmm.
What, like, how was it juggling between the two?
Not during the band.
Okay.
So during the band, that's why I had to finally opt out, because
Okay.
during the band, I gave all my time and my life, 3 years only into this.
Oh.
So that was a long time, and I think, like I said, you know, if there was somebody who could guide me and manage me, I would have probably dabbled in both and probably managed it properly,
Hmm.
and maybe would have made money also, sustained myself also, and also done the band. And probably then I wouldn't have needed to, you know, get out of the band. But because there was no such guidance, I had to take this step, and I thought this was the only way I could, you know, get back into my work and my profession, and start making some money.
To what extent did becoming a father change you?
Great deal, because then, you know, it's obviously it evokes a different emotion completely altogether.
Absolutely.
It takes you in a different space. But other than emotions, I think also there's a sense of responsibility that comes in, and obviously you understand that now there is so much more to look at, and you have to look at life very differently. You need to do things differently, and you have to start making so much more money, you know. So yeah, it changes a lot of things as far as your perspective is concerned for life.
And you know, I remember seeing you in Sing is King also.
Yeah.
films ek taraf se, was happening. Television was also, like, you have quite a strong career on Indian TV.
Well, this was my first daily show, Anupama.
Yes, Anupama was the first
my
daily
first
one.
daily show. But more than 2 decades ago, yes, I did television. But that time, everybody was doing television. Like even Imtiaz Ali,
Right.
Anubhav Sinha,
Mahesh Bhatt also, for that
Mahesh
matter.
Bhatt. Everybody was on television, and that's the time I did television. And I did work with Mahesh Bhatt also. I did work with Imtiaz Ali also. So I worked in television at a time when we used to shoot like film. Like a movie would be shot.
Yes.
That kind of time, that kind of luxury, that kind of work that went into it. So we used to shoot at peace, at leisure, and there was no uh, race against time where कि यार एपिसोड परसों सुबह रिलीज वो टेलीकास्ट होना है और आज रात में हम लोग शूट कर रहे हैं दैट काइंड ऑफ रेस अगेंस्ट टाइम was never there. So I would say I didn't belong to television before this till Anupama came.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what prompted you to become a part of a daily soap, and how did life change? Because Anupama was, oh my God,
Yeah.
it just blew out to no extent.
Yeah. I think Anupama just went on to become a cult of a different kind. I think it was a blessing. I don't see anybody, however well you make anything, or however well you are prepared, or however well you write, or whatever you do, you can be successful, you can succeed, you can be a hit, but to become what Anupama became has to be a blessing. So there must be some sort of a divine intervention there. 4 years ago, when I started shooting, before that, I had finished 3 OTT series.
Yes.
One was 100, which was on Hotstar with Lara Datta and me. And there's one Marathi actress called Rinku. Lara and I played IPS officers in both husband and wife, and very interesting stuff. And then there was something called Casino that I did for Z5. There was something else that I was doing. So I did some very interesting stuff on OTT, and then COVID happened. Yes. And when COVID happened, I was still shooting in Kathmandu for Casino. Okay. And that is when Rajan called me. Oh. Rajan called me saying that, एक मैं चैनल में बैठा हूँ और मैं कुछ पिच कर रहा हूँ, बट अगर तू हाँ करेगा तभी मैं पिच करूँगा, बिकॉज द कैरेक्टर, मेरा जो हीरो है, दैट्स ही इज गॉट अ ग्रे शेड, एंड I can't see anybody else playing that apart from you. Wow. So he gave me a one-liner and all of that, and मुझे अच्छा लगा. मैंने कहा ठीक है, let's look at this. And then when I came back, he gave me a narration, and that's when we were on for Anupama. I did my thinking. Okay. I asked my astrologer about 4 or 5 times. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because it was daily show. Commitment. Major commitment. I was a little nervous, but then finally it happened, and rest is history, I guess.
So the craze Vanraj Shah has gotten is, oh my God, like, I used to love the reels you made on social media also. Do you miss being a part of the show now?
No, I don't think that way.
Okay.
What I think is that I had my run on the show. I enjoyed my run on the show. I enjoyed being with the people. I enjoyed being in that atmosphere. I gained so much from it. But when you move on, you move on. You miss the atmosphere, you miss the people, but you move on. And it's important that you move on mentally also, because when you're walking ahead, you're moving on, you can't keep looking back,
Right.
Because that might bring emotional distress to you or whatever. So I don't think that is required, as long as you cherish the moments that you have spent in last 4 years with the people that you were working with. So I am doing that, and I've had a great time shooting for the show.
Ever happened that people walked up to you and told you, "अरे आप ऐसा क्यों करते हो अनुपमा के साथ?"
100 times. 100 times. They've all come to me, सर आप अनुपमा के साथ ऐसा क्यों करते हो? नहीं करो ना, उसे मत परेशान करो ना, ऐसा-ऐसा करके मुझे बोलते थे. तो but along with that, there was so much of love that I got,
Hmm.
which I used to wonder always कि यार वनराज को मैंने इतना खतरनाक बना दिया है कि लोग नफरत करते हैं मुझसे और इतना गुस्सा उनके मन में भरा होता है, वनराज से भी ज़्यादा गुस्सा भरा रहता होगा. बट आई रियलाइज लेटर कि वो जो गुस्सा और जो नफरत है वही एक्चुअली उनका प्यार भी है, यू नो, बिकॉज दे लव्ड द एक्टर सुधांशु
Yes.
and they hated the character Vanraj. And I used to get the messages saying same thing in the same breath, that we hate Vanraj, but you are absolutely fantastic. What you do in the character with the character is something that makes us hate him. You know, so I said I'm so glad, and I'm happy that people hated it and got so upset with the character, because if I wasn't, if they weren't getting that upset and angry, then I wouldn't be doing my job right. I would get really worried
Absolutely,
if they
yes.
were not angry. So I think it was all good. Vanraj was a great character that I played, and I'm glad I was able to create something uh, so amazing and so iconic that today people are actually emotionally distraught after.
Emotionally distraught. I was reading comments where everybody was saying that, Vanraj, like it is going to be very difficult for anybody to fit into those shoes
Yeah,
of Vanraj Shah.
yeah, yeah.
The benchmark that you've set is very difficult. Your exit from the show, has been shocking for a lot of people. But what was also nice was that, you came on social media and you officially announced it.
Yeah.
नहीं तो क्या होता है, वो ouster का news आता है या वो exit का news आता है, and then there are its own speculations that come about. With this case also it happened.
Yeah, it happened.
Where a lot of blame is coming on Rupali, that that Rupali's equation with Rupali is one of the reasons. Would you want to address that?
See, I've the reason why I came on social media and announced it is because I felt responsible. That all the audiences that have been waiting to see Vanraj, and they must be wondering where Vanraj is gone. I must tell them that I am not going to be a part of this show, and they should know about it. They should not be later shocked, heartbroken, or I mean, although they were all heartbroken, but at least I told them personally, and they didn't come to know through other, sources. And even though there are so many stories going around, I would still say whatever I said was my side of the story. It was 100% the truth. Stories are meant to be only stories. Okay, they have got nothing to do with reality. Stories is fiction. So all I can say is don't believe them, because they are far away from reality. And the reality is that all is well, and it has been a fantastic 4 years, and I will cherish being a part of Anupamaa all my life.
So the equation with Rupali is all good.
Absolutely okay. I mean, I've been telling everybody. I was just chatting with her a day before. उसका कुछ मैसेज आया था इंस्टाग्राम पे, डीएम पे, तो उस पे हम लोग की नोक झोंक चल रही थी. Absolutely fine.
Amazing. Also what has happened is, in the past when Paras Kalnawat, quit the show, he went on to join Jhalak Dikhla Ja. When Kedar Ashish quit the show, he's become a part of Khatron Ke Khiladi. Now with your exit, what happened is, all of a sudden this rumor came out of nowhere that, Sudhanshu is quitting because he's approached for Bigg Boss.
Oh my God. See, that is where I feel a little let down, because I think that people should know what kind of a person I am. And an actor of my stature and seniority, I don't see myself going into a Bigg Boss space, because I don't belong to that space.
Right.
I don't need to be in that space. It's a voyeuristic show, and I'm way too evolved and spiritual to be becoming a part of something as messy as that. And that is something that derives entertainment out of other people's pain and negativity. That is not my space. I don't belong there. So I feel let down when people say, "Sir, आप Bigg Boss में जा रहे हैं, बिग बॉस की वजह से ये किया, तो थोड़ा सा मुझे लेट डाउन फील होता है, बट इट्स ओके. पीपल स्टिल थिंक दैट बिग बॉस is one game show that a lot of people would want to go.
Right.
But I would love to host Big Boss one day if
Yes.
the chance comes, because I know I can host really well. So I would love to host something like that, but definitely not as a participant.
But on the acting front, what's happening next?
There is something I'm doing, but there's something happening. Unfortunately, I can't speak about it right
Okay.
now. There's something, although it was leaked out in news somewhere, but there's something happening. And when the time is right, I will speak about it, because
Totally.
it is the stakes are very high there. So
You know, in this day and age, self-assurance is, I think so, it is a way to, feel good also, and that is the idea also behind Dear Me. So, I want to end this conversation with you giving a message to yourself. So you begin with, dear Sudhanshu, and just give a message to yourself, self-assurance about anything and everything that you want to.
there's a very lovely thing one other journalist said to me yesterday, and I think that was really reassuring also. And I think that is a self-assurance that I can give to myself, which is being exactly the way I am and stay like that always. He said that you are so amazingly dignified, and you are so real, and you are so um, not non-controversial, and
I
all of
so
that,
agree.
So he said, sir, just be the way, never change. I said, it's too late, but still I'll take your advice. So I don't think I would ever change or anything. I would stay the way I am.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, thank you so much for
Thank you.
removing time and doing this with us.
Thank you, Nawaz. Thank you for
Wish
having
you
me.
all the very best. Looking forward to bigger and brighter things.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.